Welcome to School Zone, the show all about your local school districts here in the White Mountains. I'm your host, John Larsen. Today we have Snowflake Unified School District Superintendent Hollis Merrell with us. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
Glad you're here. Thanks. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and see us.
Not a problem.
We're kind of in some funny times and felt like we wanted to really visit with you and see how things are going down Snowflake way. We hear good things and we know things are going well for you, so I really appreciate you being here. Let's start off, if you would, by introducing yourself. Tell us about yourself and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Hollis Merrell. I'm a native to Arizona. I was born and raised in the southeast corner of the state. Graduated from Duncan High School. So Snowflake's actually the largest town I've lived in.
Nice.
Besides when I was going to college in Arizona, so that's
Very
interesting.
Good.
I attended community college, Eastern Arizona Community College, and then I went on to the U of A after that. At Eastern Arizona, I met my wife from Snowflake, probably why we've stayed up here this long. I started my career in Young. I taught 3 years down there. The subjects I taught, I was an agricultural education teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but I was also science certified. I taught science and also some Spanish down there. We only had 25 kids in the whole high school.
Wow.
So we taught high school and junior high. And then I came to Snowflake. My wife and I have lived in Taylor or Snowflake for 25 years now.
Holy cow.
So we are part of the White Mountains
Yes, you
now,
are.
we feel like. Our kids are all raised, well, they're still growing as we all do, but we are empty nesters and enjoy living here in this area.
Good. Glad
I've
you're
been in
here.
Snowflake, back in Snowflake in this position. This is my 12th year.
So did you teach in Snowflake?
I
and
did.
then eventually were you administrator there and then superintendent? How'd that work?
I was a teacher, and then I became the Career and Technical Education Director.
Oh, okay.
Then an assistant principal. Then I left and went to Joseph City for 5 years.
Oh, okay. What'd you
We
do
still
there?
lived in Taylor and Snowflake during that
Oh,
time.
you commuted then?
I commuted,
good.
and I was...
That's better than a valley commute.
Yes, it is. I got to actually enjoy that commute. I
You
really
bet.
did.
I bet you did.
I was
Lot of
principal
think
there,
time.
and then at the junior high school, then a superintendent.
Oh,
And then
okay.
I came back to Snowflake as superintendent 12 years ago.
Super.
Almost 12 years ago.
Great. So I'm assuming you got an associate's at EA?
I did not.
You
I
didn't?
was on my way to get an associate's,
You just jumped to U of A and...
but I knew I was going to get my 4-year degree, and so I didn't take those additional classes to get the associate certificate.
Okay. And at U of A you got your bachelor's? Did you go all the way?
Bachelor's in agricultural education.
Okay, great.
And again, I was science certified, and then I got my
Super.
master's through NAU.
Oh, good. Good, yeah. All in-state stuff, that's great. I love the fact that we've got the... I just love the education part of our conversations, so I appreciate that.
Well, I was fortunate when I got my master's. NAU had a program right here in the White Mountains.
Oh,
and so
great.
I took classes here in
Local.
Show Low.
Excellent.
White River, I had a class, Holbrook.
No kidding.
And so there's a lot of us in this area that went through at that time.
Great, super. Well, tell me about, I want to talk to you about COVID-19, how that's affected you as a superintendent, your administrative staff, the teachers, and of course the kids. So give us an overview of the district's decisions concerning COVID-19 and how that's played out for you so far.
It's a big question, but yes.
And I know a lot of it is dictated by the state.
It's impacted everything we do. And we typically don't meet during the summer very often as with my leadership team because we encourage people to go take some vacations in the summer. We met every single week this summer and continued to read and get all the information we could. And that became overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, every day.
Trying to stay ahead of the curve
Yes,
in order to make the decisions that far out for the new school year.
Yes, and we got information from every organization you can imagine. So it got to the point where we just had to sit down and make some common sense decisions, taking all the information that we had. This is hard, it's difficult, but I think the schools in our area, Snowflake, and as well as the others here in the White Mountains have done the best they can under the circumstances.
Yeah. So you decided with all that info, did you go back on your regularly scheduled date in person, or how'd you go about that?
We had school starting August 17th was the first date we could based on the mandate from the governor, we could not start in person before August 17th. That was a big decision we had because we had school starting a week or two before that. I can't remember now. It's been a few months. And so we had to decide if we were going to start virtually and then bring students in on the 17th or wait till the 17th. And I have a great administrative team. They were very helpful. I was probably more hesitant than others in some of the decisions we made. My position's different. It's easier to think about some of those things. And obviously our board was involved with these decisions, and we did what we thought was best for our community, which was in-person schooling. So we did start on August 17th, not before, so we had to change our calendar. We added a week at the end. We'll still get out before Memorial Day, but we had to change the calendar, and we decided to go in person. At that point, we didn't know if that would be a permanent decision
or not, right? Yeah.
Or if we'd have to close at some point. We communicated that to our parents and our staff that would take it on a weekly basis and assess where we've been. We have been able to stay in person all semester with no breaks. Right between Thanksgiving and Christmas, 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, I thought we'd have to close at least the high school maybe. There were a lot of people that did get COVID as a result of Thanksgiving gatherings and some of the things that happened. Fortunately, that last week before our holiday Christmas break, some of the people that obviously had COVID got better, and our numbers dropped significantly that last week, which is the week that we maybe would have considered closing a week early. For the high school, the other schools we haven't had the issues as
the older kids seem to maybe have issues, more issues than the younger kids.
They seem to get it and also pass it along at a higher rate than the younger students.
So, do you have, in case of a stoppage, do you have a virtual plan in place, or what are your plans for that if that happens?
One of the things that we did prior to school starting, we normally only have 2 days of teacher in service before we start school. With the change in schedule, what we didn't want to do is delay paying our employees. We didn't want them to have to wait an extra 2 weeks to get a paycheck. So we started when the last day we could to still pay them on the normal payday, which meant we had additional days before school started for staff training and instruction. Part of what we asked them to do is to be prepared to teach students virtually. Mostly we used Google Classroom, and the teachers and students were prepared in case we had to do that.
So you've got that plan in place. Do you have can you hybrid it? Can you do both of them at the same time, where you bring some students in, have some students stay home virtually, and then flip-flop?
One of the decisions we made was not to do that.
Okay.
We felt we left it to 2 options, and that's it.
One or the other.
Either in person or at home, virtually. We felt like we wanted to still give our students the best opportunity to succeed and be successful in school. The COVID will have a very large impact on education throughout the country.
It will.
I worry about that.
Yes.
I worry about our students. So our decision was to just give those 2 options.
So I know that I went to school, when I went back to college, I went online, and it seemed like they had a pretty good system there as far as the colleges go. I think they've gotten much better. I know that there were some schools that I wanted to go to online, and they didn't have much of a program even built. And so have you found that it's been difficult to prepare that online or that virtual portion of the education as it pertains to high school? I know the colleges got it down pretty good, but the high schools never had to deal with this before.
Well, actually, we were already using a system for high school for credit recovery.
Oh, great.
So that was a really kind of a seamless.
So you had your toe wet already?
We had our toe wet for high school and junior high.
Oh, great.
The biggest challenge was with our K6.
Yeah.
And there aren't very many people that provide a K6 platform. And so we went with the same company that we use for the junior high and high school platform, It was new for them too, and so we've had some challenges that we've had employees spend a tremendous amount of time and put in a lot of effort trying to help that to be as successful as it can be.
I'm hoping that, and I don't know, I would like your opinion on this, but I'm hoping that this opens up to where we become better at that, so that even if we had kids who, COVID-19 aside, but if we had kids who, I don't know, broke a leg maybe, or in a car accident, can still do their schoolwork at home as opposed to miss a week or two and impact their education. So I'm hoping that this is a good that comes out of that, that we'll be able to still continue to educate our kids and be better at it.
I agree, and I hope so. One of the challenges is we currently are allowed to have students go online and still receive funding. Now we only get 5%. We get 5% less funding, so that's a big issue throughout the state right now. They told us they'd make up for that with some of our stimulus funding. It hasn't completely worked out that way.
We'll hope that.
So that is only through the end of this school year, unless the state passes legislation or something that allows us to continue to have students at home and draw funding. We won't be able to do that. You can apply for Arizona Online Instruction. We have not done that in Snowflake School District yet. Shola has done that. So they could continue to do that. So either we'd have to apply for Arizona Online Instruction, or they'd have to give us there'd have to be some changes at the state level to allow us to have students at home learning virtually.
Well,
otherwise that just ends at the end of this school year.
I'll step out on a limb and say I hope that our leadership in the state has the vision to be able to see that and move on it. I really do, because again, this funding issue, they've got to stay on top of that, and they've got to continue to take care of our 95% of our children who are attending public schools and education. So, but that's probably another show, right? We could probably fill up a whole other show.
We could talk a while on that one.
So, do you have contact with county health officials, state health officials? How's that work for you? Is that a daily thing, weekly? How's that work?
Early on, we had not a daily thing, at least weekly with the county. We had 2 meetings weekly with them most of the summer and into the fall. And now it's been mostly weekly in recent weeks and months. We had lots of Zoom meetings with state officials, county officials, and again, at some point we had to just kind of bring it all in and make decisions that worked best for us. So yes, we've had a lot of that communication, and we continue to have at least a weekly meeting with our county health officials.
Good, because I know that there are things that they can and can't do that will impact the
well, and we're educators. We're not medical
health
specialists.
Officials, right? Yeah, right.
We need their opinions and their advice and their counsel as we make these decisions.
Good. So let's just talk about if a kid is COVID positive, where do you go with that? What's your policy? What has the district said? If a child shows up positive, this is where we take that child.
We followed the CDC and the county guidelines initially. As we moved through that process, the county health officials worked with us very well, and after we had been in school a few weeks and we'd had a few cases and had a little experience, we kind of ironed out who did what and who's calling the parents and how that all worked. And after we got up and going, it worked really well.
Good.
But we don't have say this is exactly what's going to happen in every case, because it's different. If you have a couple of weekends in there, at a minimum, students are out a week.
Right, the 5-day.
But if you can get a couple of weekends in there, sometimes we only require them to miss a full week of school, depending on when they got it, when they tested positive. So all those things come into play. Our district nurse, who's a registered nurse, has been extremely busy this year.
Oh, I bet she has.
She also gives so we have rapid tests available at our school for students and staff.
Great.
And when we have a case, she and I communicate. We talk about when they got it, when they had symptoms, and then make a decision about how long they need to stay out.
Okay. Has the district required the wearing of masks?
Yes.
All across?
Yes.
Elementary, K to 12?
Yes, K-12.
Good.
at the elementary level, it's difficult to teach somebody speech therapy when you can't see their mouth and they can't see yours. So we use shields as well. And at the elementary level, some of the classrooms have the desk shields around them.
Oh, good.
So teachers can see their faces and they can mimic the sounds that they're teaching and those things. So, but when you can't, and there are some classrooms that will have a space where a student or two can go sit that's in the corner. But we have required mask K-12.
Good, good. And are you requiring masks for the teachers and custodians, support staff, those types of folks too?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay, good.
But if a teacher is able to arrange their room where they can social distance while they're lecturing, we allow them to have their mask off. And we recommended they put a piece of tape down so they and the students know, hey, that's the line.
That's the line, yeah.
And if you go down and work with a student individually or you walk back to your desk, you've got to have your mask on.
How about your like hand sanitizer and whatnot? Were you able to get help through the government as far as being able to fund that? Because I know that was a huge increase of
It was. It cost a lot, and initially it was really hard to get.
Yes.
Now you can get it. But yes, we did. We were able to have hand sanitizer for every classroom before
stations
school
here and
started.
there and everywhere.
We didn't buy stations. We just have the hand pumps.
Oh, okay.
And the students are using those at the lower levels when they come into and leave a classroom.
Good.
Some of our classrooms have sinks, so they have the option of doing that. It just takes a long time for every student in the class to go by and wash their hand, but those are available. So we do that, and we're sanitizing classrooms daily.
Good. I was just going to ask you, how about your custodial staff as far as cleaning? I'm assuming your teachers are probably doing a lot of in-class cleaning too?
They are, and some of it's not new. I had pointed out several times last December, I was in classrooms and I saw teachers wiping down desks with Clorox wipes, reminding the students to use hand sanitizer as they left. It was flu season. So for a lot of us, a lot of our classrooms, it wasn't a big change. They were already doing those things. So that was kind of nice to know that they were doing that. But when the recession hit, 2008, we cut our custodial staff. We haven't fully restored those. So it was really overwhelming trying to figure out how to do that with the custodian. So we didn't do that. Our teachers they sanitize their rooms at the end of the day every day. We have a sanitizer that's a 24-hour. If it sits on a surface at least 12 minutes, it's a 24-hour sanitizer. Nice. The junior high and high school, where the kids come and go all day, they sometimes also do it they do it at lunch and other times during the day as well.
So when there's a break there and there's no kids, they can clean the place up and do a quick
So the teachers are the ones that really are doing most of the additional.
Wow, bless their hearts.
That means we have the custodians available to make sure the bathrooms are cleaned and those areas.
Right. How's your staff responded to that?
Our staff has been incredible.
Good. Good for you.
One of the things, I have a conversation with a man that works throughout the state in education, and when I visit with him, he says, "What's your number?" And by that he means, how many of your teachers have said they don't want to be here or they've left because they don't want to teach under these circumstances? And our number is 0.
Good for you.
And every time he sees me or talks to me on the phone, he asks me that because that's uncommon.
Yeah, very uncommon.
Very uncommon. In fact, during the summer, I was saying, principals, go talk to your staff, find out what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And I kept saying, is there not anybody out there that's really concerned about this? Obviously, they're concerned. There's lots of concerns. I don't want to misrepresent that. But they also have a unwavering commitment to their students, and they wanted their students back in the classroom and wanted to teach them. So I can't say enough about how our staff, our teachers have just said, let's do this.
And that's probably why you've fared so
incredible.
well and done so well.
And our procedures have helped. The parents have kept their kids home when they're sick. It takes them helping us.
Sure.
You know, normally you're going to have some kids at school with a runny nose maybe, or a teacher might show up with just a cough. Now they're going home out of caution and making sure that it keeps everybody safe. After the Christmas break, we did have the first week, we had 6 staff members that had COVID that first week, but that was because of things that happened over the Christmas break.
Sure.
Once those were cleared up, we've only had 2 more test positive since then, and none last week. only one this week. So our numbers are not very high in the school. I really pay attention to what's happening in our community. Our numbers have been crazy. They've been really bad in Snowflake and Taylor and throughout this area.
Yeah, which is great that it hasn't mirrored it.
We pay attention to that, but what we look at more closely is how many of our staff are out, how many of our students are out, can we continue to have school safely? It doesn't appear that our staff and students are passing along to each other at a high rate, because that just hasn't happened.
Good, that's great.
It has occasionally possible. I mean, it's impossible to find out exactly where somebody gets COVID, but for the most part, that hasn't happened.
Good for you. How have the kids bought into the new hygiene? I mean, I wish we were always this mindful of our hygiene, but how have they bought into it?
You know, I like to say the younger they are, the easier it is. I was worried about kindergartners.
Me too.
Can we keep a mask on them? Should we keep a mask?
Yeah.
I mean, we actually have a mask mandate now in our state from the governor. And
I was worried about, they're always touching their faces. They're always.
They've had it. They don't know anything different.
Yeah.
They haven't been to school before. They showed up with masks, and it's just the way it is. Right. They remind each other to put their mask on if somebody has it off. I think the older you get, the harder it is. We're more set in our ways, and so of course the high school students probably had the harder time with it.
Do you find them willingly hitting the hand sanitizer and cleaning up for the most part across the district?
For the most part.
Okay,
I'm not in classrooms every day like the teachers are, so I can't answer. And I haven't been in the schools and in the classrooms as much this year as I normally am because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so, the reports are saying yes, that's happening.
Good. Excuse me.
But I'll say this: I said our high school students have had a harder time. The ones I talked to have said they're really grateful just to be in school, so they understand that wearing a mask is part of the.
So tell me a little bit more about your administrative team and your teachers and staff, and how confident they've been in the process. It's obvious that you're doing so well in keeping the numbers down in spite of the community numbers being up. How have they bought into the process? And your administrative staff certainly has been creators of the process. So.
Yes, again, our administrative team has been really, really helpful to me. These aren't decisions that I would ever make on my own. These are big decisions that we're making, and they're the ones that are on the school sites and have those things. They've been great. Again, it's been hard. This is really difficult. We know that. But I also know that our community, our teachers, our students, our parents are really grateful that they have the opportunity to be in person as well.
Good. Well,
and the majority of our students have chosen to stay.
Oh, sure.
Our parents and our students have
sure.
stayed
Do you have a percentage of how many kids didn't come back?
We initially started with this is K-12, about 200 students that were home online.
Okay.
That's dropped to 120.
Okay. Those 80 have come back to in person for the most part?
Some of them have come back. Some of them gone other places, other online options. We have 2,500 students in the school. So what's that?
Yeah.
4%.
Yeah, not much. Yeah, not bad at all. Have I missed anything? I've really enjoyed our time. Has flown by. We're already done. Have I missed anything that you want the community to know about the Snowflake District and how things are going?
Mostly just we're grateful for everybody's cooperation. It's hard, but we're making it work because everybody's willing to give a little bit and help us. Again, with parents are keeping students home, and that's been helpful, huh? The main thing I want to say is just we're very, very grateful to the parents, the teachers, the staff that have made it happen. This is not perfect. I don't want to sugarcoat it and make you think that everything's perfect and everything's working well. No, it's hard. It's really hard teaching and learning under these circumstances. But everybody's doing the best they can, and we hope our students continue to progress and gain, grow academically this year.
Yeah, that's going to be the real thing, is how we come out of this academically, and hopefully we don't have a dip this age group or this 2, maybe year and a half of kids that are hurt by this.
The general thought is there will be a dip. and especially with the increase of students learning at home. Some of them do very well, and a lot of them aren't doing very well at all.
Yeah, that's a hard thing for a teenager or younger to do. It's just really a hard commitment. And so with any luck, here by the end of the school year, things will be looking up, and
we hope so.
With all of the vaccination and options that we have that to make us all better, hopefully things will be on the upswing.
It's starting that direction.
I hope so.
Our numbers
yeah.
have started to drop.
I think so. Well, thanks again for coming. I really appreciate it. It was great to meet you, and hopefully we can visit again.
Okay, let's do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the School Zone, and we'll see you again soon.